Sticking with the trend of understanding the elements of art, we are going to now deal with a square and turn it into a cube. So I have an example right here, and we're going to understand how to put the square into perspective to turn it into a cube, and then understand the highlights and shadows with that as well. So if you do have a ruler or something that you can create a straight edge with, by all means go for it. I'm just going to give it my best shot. But if you have a square, you have your vertical lines, horizontal lines, creating 90-degree angles. And right now I'm using my HB pencil. You're always going to want to start your drawing with an HB pencil. Now we have a square. Now we want to turn it into a three-dimensional cube. So right now it's a two-dimensional object. So what you can do is create a vanishing point. Okay, this is the idea of perspective and seeing things in the distance. If you can think of the railroad track example where the railroad tracks are big close to you and they get smaller the further away, or trees are big close to you and then they get smaller further away, that is the same concept here. So what you're going to do is take this vanishing point, create a little dot on your paper. You can see that. So create this little dot. And then I'm going to use that as the connecting point. So if you do have a straight edge or you have a piece of paper or something like that, you can do that with. Here I'm going to go and draw a line lightly, because I don't know where I'm going to stop yet, connecting to that vanishing point from the 3 points that line up with that dot. We are creating a solid object that we won't see through, so we don't need to connect this corner to the dot because we won't see the back side of our sphere. Okay, now you can come in and create a straight, perfect line that matches with the line you already have. So this line is the same as this line to create that cube idea. Okay, so this line is the same as this line, so then this line is going to be the same as that line, and it's going to connect right here. Then I can grab my paper or whatever I'm using to make a straight line and connect that. Then I can erase my vanishing point and erase the extra lines that go outside the cube. Now we have a cube and not just a square. So we turned a circle into a sphere. This one is a triangle into a cone. Now we have turned just a basic square into a cube. Now we got to add some shading to it. We can add another horizon line going through the object. Your horizon line can't go any lower than the bottom corner here, because then it would say that the object's kind of falling off the edge or floating. So your horizon line needs to go somewhere through the top edges here and never below this corner point there. Okay, so if we go and work with kind of the same light source area coming from the top right, that means if the light source is coming from above, we have our H pencil, so we're going to use that to add just a light value on the top. Okay, whenever you're dealing with a cube or like a rectangle or something with sides that are flat like this, there's always most likely going to be one lighter side, one medium side, and one darker side. So you can see here, I used a hatching method on this one. You can see the lighter side is on the top, medium, and darker. You can use whatever technique you want that we learned from our value scales, hatching, cross-hatching, or blending. I'm just going to go with blending. So I'm going to blend in a light value on the top of my cube. Okay, now I'm going to come in, that was with my H pencil, now I'm going to come in with, we'll go B pencil. So this side, just like our sphere, this side is furthest away from the light source, so that means it's the darkest. Same thing here, light coming this way, furthest side away is this back side here, so that's going to be my darkest. So this frontal side is going to be my medium value. Once again, my H pencil is a harder lead, so it's going to be lighter than what I'm using right now, which is my B pencil. So automatically this value is going to be darker. And you're going to want to fill that in nice and soft. Even values all the way throughout. Just like on our sphere, we don't want to see any hard edges. We do want to see hard edges on this, but every side is going to be the same flat value all the way through. So with my blending idea, I'm going to come in and make sure that I don't see any lines or hard edges. Like, I'm just going to do this for now. You can kind of see how there's a different value here versus here. We want them to all be equal. So I'll fix my mistake, make sure that all the values are flat and equal on the front side being the medium valued side. Once again, rotating my paper, whatever is comfortable for me. Going right up against the edge, not going outside the lines. We want to make sure that we're nice, crisp, and clean, especially when we talk about craftsmanship points. We don't want to lose silly points for having lines that go out. We do not want lines like that. Okay, you want to stay inside the edges. Now I pressed light enough so I know I can erase it. With blending, you can go any direction you want. I could be going diagonal, I could be going up and down, horizontal, vertical, left to right, all those fun terms. But I'm using the side of my pencil, okay? So pencil in my palm, using my finger as the pressure for blending, and I can have nice control over where my lines are being made, how much pressure I'm applying to the paper, letting the pencil do the work, using the side of my pencil to get a nice flat, even application, and not liney like hatching or cross-hatching. Okay. And maybe use your finger to just blend it out a little bit to make it a little bit more equal. Okay, now you have your cube, 2/3 of the way done. Now the back side, once again, furthest away from the light source. I'm going to use my 6B. We're going to develop that pretty dark. Once again, I'm using the same mark making technique that I've used previously, which is blending all the way throughout. Getting right up against those edges. Come in and get a little bit more control with my pencil, holding it this way, getting right up against the edge and filling in those corners that are nice and tight. Okay, and I'm going back to holding the pencil the way I was. Once again, coming in with nice control to make sure I get a nice straight line right up against that edge to really create the idea of where the two sides of the cube meet. Blending that out into what I already have. Successfully accomplished a cube. Okay, I can see there's a little bit of lightness in the middle, so I can come in and develop that a little bit further. Okay, now we need to create it on the ground. So I'm going to come in with my 4B, just like we did on the sphere. We're going to create that horizon line where the sky meets the ground and blend that down. Getting right up against the cube to really develop and enhance that realism. So right now I'm using a 4B. Come in on the other side, I want both my values on the left hand and right hand side to be equal. Switch to my B pencil to blend out into the ground. With my finger and blend that out if you want to. Okay, now we're missing one thing. We need to create a shadow on our cube to make it look like it's physically sitting on the ground, just like we did with our sphere. So what we're going to do, if the light's coming this way, we'll push a shadow out off of the cube to the left. If the light source is on the right, we need to go to the left. So where the shadows are going to start are your corners. Okay, so you can envision if the light source is coming this way, the angle of the shadow will be going the same way. And you're going to go from the two corners that touch the ground based off of where. So you want to start a shadow up here because first of all that's elevated and in the sky. You would start the shadow off the base of the corner here and base of the corner here. You can't really start off here because that's in the shadow on the other side. We don't see that back corner point that finishes the cube. So we're going to start our shadow from this corner and that corner. Shadows are once again always darkest close to the object. So I'm going to start with my 6B. Go nice and dark right up against that edge. You don't want to outline your shadow. You want it to nicely kind of dissipate after dark closest to the object, and it's going to just kind of fade out. And you don't want to create these hard, like lined edges on either side of where the shadow starts and stops. Except for you will once it's super close to the object, and then once again fade out. Okay, so that's my 6B. And I'm going to come in with my 4B to blend into that 6B, and then to the next value, which will be lighter. Make sure they're all blending nicely together from value to value. I'm going to come in with my 2B. B. Now notice how the value is starting to slowly dissipate the further you get away from your object. The further away from your object, the lighter the shadow will be. Okay, kind of using a blended hatching, cross-hatching method to really fill in all those gaps on the paper. Done. Okay, now you have both a sphere, three-dimensional form, and a cube, three-dimensional form, in space, created by a horizon line with the sky above and the ground below, shadows to show that they're physically sitting on the ground, and a full range of dark and light values to create form. Let's go ahead and give that a try, and we'll see how you do.